So summarizing, always remember that we are fighting evil persons much more than we are fighting flawed ideas. When attempting to bring a prospect to such a realization, you won't even have to bring up the word conspiracy. Your prospect will arrive at that awareness all by himself. Every once in a while you get some help when you're toiling in this particular kind of work from a place you didn't expect it. In 2002, a man named David Rockefeller wrote an autobiography. It's called Memoirs. In his autobiography, at one point, he's talking about his own family. And he said, some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States. And even of conspiring to build one world, if you will. And then he said, if that's the charge, I stand guilty and I am proud of it. David Rockefeller said that. He said, if the charge is that I'm working as a secret cabal against the best interests of the United States, I'm guilty and I'm proud of it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we can thank David Rockefeller for a burst of honesty. David Rockefeller is one of those people that I consider to be an evil person. Now, you've all heard about the John Birch Society, and as I was being introduced here, you were told about the fact that we were labeled as the Ku Klux Klan. We were labeled as being racist and anti-Semitic, and like the Klan, and like the communists, and like the Nazis, and so on. And none of that's ever been true. Never been true. Why were we attacked? Why were we so labeled? Very simple. We were labeled because we dared to call it a conspiracy. And that's what it is, a conspiracy. It has to be fought by exposure. The man who founded the John Birch Society, Robert Welch, started right off at the beginning, saying it's a conspiracy, it's nothing else. In 1975, he said, there's a conspiracy at work as sure as there's a law of gravity, and trying to overcome its effects by ignoring its existence is exactly the kind of opposition the conspiracy has contrived and created for itself. There was another man one time who said, around that same period, he said the first job of conspiracy is to convince the world that it doesn't exist. That's right. Convince the world that it doesn't exist. So what's the plan? How do we work? How do we get this country back together again? How do we stop the conspiracy? Well, I suggest that we do it through the House of Representatives. Not that the senators can't be good and can't help. But Article 1, Section 7 of this book, the Constitution of the United States, says all bills for raising revenue have to originate in the House of Representatives. If the House of Representatives will not originate a bill for foreign aid, for education, housing, whatever, that's it. The power of the purse is in the House. I was on a TV show in New York City just recently, and I made this point. The fellow who was on the show with me said, well, you know, 218 in Congress is a big mountain to climb. That's a real big deal. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. I said, you get 8 or 10 more people like Ron Paul in Congress, the momentum shifts. And all of a sudden, you get all kinds of other people going along with the right program instead of the wrong program. That can happen. It can happen here in Montana. It can happen anywhere. So I encourage you, start asking those questions. Do you think that they're stupid? Do you think that they're ignorant? Or do you think that there's a plan? Okay? And people will come around, and they'll come around very, very simply. Many years ago, there was a sculptor, and he obtained a huge block of marble. He had an idea for its use, and he proceeded with his primitive little tools, chipping away at the marble here and there. There was a boy in the neighborhood that walked by, and he would look in at this man's studio, and he saw him chipping away. And every day the boy would come by, and he was there, and he was chipping away, and the boy said he's getting nowhere. So the boy stopped coming. He saw no progress. He began to wonder about the sculptor. So he stopped coming. Others felt the same way, and they stopped looking in on the man. But many, many months later, the boy went back And he looked in, and there was the magnificent statue of David. And the boy was astonished. And he said to the sculptor, "How did you know he was in there?" Well, the answer, of course, is that he knew, the sculptor did, that time and effort and determination would produce the statue. He knew it was in there. He was willing to face the ridicule, the time, the effort, the labor to produce his masterpiece. Most successful endeavors require time and effort and resources and determination. And most also have to overcome ridicule and prevailing popular opinion. Now, I've been with the John Birch Society since the 1960s. And I know that the situation in America today is remarkably different than it has been for a long time. An awful lot of people are beginning to get concerned. They're getting worried. They're looking for answers. Many of them are looking to the John Birch Society. I would encourage all of you to do the same. Saving our country can be likened to the work of the sculptor, chipping away day after day until success is achieved. This is where we are. We need more who will help us with the chipping away. I think some of you have probably seen a DVD program I've done, or maybe a portion of it. It's called An Overview of Our World. We've sold close to 100,000 copies of these. It's been up on the internet. We don't know how many millions of people have seen it and have downloaded it and shared it with others. But if you haven't seen it and you'd like to, it's back there on the book table, along with another one that I did called Dollars and Cents, about the economic travails of our country. We've got booklets that I've written. I'll be happy to be back there and autograph anything you've got. We've got magazines, the New American Magazine, and I'm the publisher of it. I write articles for it. There's several back there about the healthcare crisis, which isn't a crisis, is being made into a crisis. So we encourage you to go and to visit our booth back there, our table, talk to our people. I'll be back there myself. And at that point, let me say thank you for your attention. God bless you. God bless America. The job can be done. And so let's go and do it. Thank you very much.